Well, howdy, I'm John Mark Dempsey, and we are today having a second cup of coffee with Mario Villarino, who is the AgriLife agent in Hopkins County.
Thank you for having me again.
Well, you're very welcome. Last time you were here, we were talking about the rain, and you tell me we've had how much rain this year?
We're about 48 inches already on our yearly,
48 inches.
Yes, and we normally are around the 53 inches, depending on the year, depending on when you talk about it. So we probably already reached our quantity. We're going to look at numbers into it, but
So we almost already had as much as we would have for the whole.
that is correct. And so it came in that particular cluster in April and May.
Well, of course, we're now into the summer, and it hasn't rained as much the last couple of weeks. And so I'm looking at my yard and our flower bed. The thought occurred to me: are we getting too dry again?
It is one of those things that our soil, being on the oak plateau, the sandy soil is actually percolates all that water very quickly. So you get into those two situations that, man, when it's too much because saturates and it percolates through it and it starts washing off. And then when the rain comes in, just goes through it like a sieve. So it's part of the nature of being on the forest.
So we could use some more already.
We can always use some more.
So what's right now affecting ranchers and farmers the most?
Well, we are, like we were talking right before, the production of hay is in good shape. Today in June is dairy month, and I think everything is in the schedule what we're expecting to be, but it's getting hot really quickly. And I think it's one of those situations that people need to be aware of how to handle that heat when they're working outside. Looking for changing the schedule a little bit, start earlier and take a little break. Don't overextend it, because that's a challenge, especially when you're doing active. This is our active season, doing things in the farm or doing things in the yard, and make sure you're drinking the water, because that is one of those challenges that you run into, just to stay constant and get that body used to that temperature.
You said June is dairy month.
That is correct.
Which is why we have the dairy festival.
That is correct.
Okay.
And it's a nationwide celebration of the dairy industry, and us used to be the dairy capital for the United States. We still have a lot of dairies on it and a lot of work done with them. So that's what you saw, the celebration that we just completed.
So dairy industry is still by far tops in Hopkins County.
It is. We're just looking into have a presentation to do tomorrow related to this, and we're ranked on the 13th county in the state. Texas is ranked on the 5th in the United States now. So we have a plus milk production. Yeah. And it's something that's interesting that you mentioned. This is the dairy herd is smaller, but the production per cow is higher. So we maintain the same quantity of milk overall with less cows, and that is genetics.
That would be an interesting news release.
It is, absolutely. We're working on that, and actually I just sent it today, and it's kind of interesting how technology also in agriculture can compensate for those numbers.
We look forward to that. All right, you've put out a couple of releases here recently. One is on 4-H, and the other on controlling pondweed. So I want to touch on the 4-H is just a terrific program, and we usually talk with Lisa Sprague some about that. But it seems to me we desperately need 4-H program and programs like it.
It is, especially learning by doing. One of the principles of 4-H that the kids can actually have a project on their hands, experiment the pros and cons. Like everything in life. Sometimes it's going to work out, and sometimes it's not going to work out. But learning how to cope with that and being creative and adaptive today, it's one of those prime working skills that people need to be ready for, because we don't know exactly how the future is going to look like, and they're troubleshooting the situations and learning on their own and face a challenge is always one way to be in security in something that is sometimes a little bit unstable.
I shouldn't put you on the spot like this, but do you have any idea of how many kids in Hopkins County you're in 4-H?
371 members.
Well, you were prepared for that.
I'm the 4-H coordinator, so we run into the clubs and all that.
371
youth involved in 4-H.
That seems like a lot.
It is a lot.
And that compares favorably with past years?
Actually, we have increased our enrollment. Yeah.
I think
are.
we badly need that, and just looking around at the things going on. So that's good to hear.
And agriculture is one of those projects you were talking about that release. You know, it's the steer project when it's prepared cattle, heifers, and steers. It's a year-round project. You know, they start preparing for that, and on Thursday we're gonna be identifying those animals going for the major shows, Houston, San Antonio, and Dallas, or are considered the major show, big attractions for those cities, and we're gonna be tagging them. Animals have to be identified as being part of that kit, and we're going to be doing that on Thursday.
Okay, good. We just have about a minute or so left, so I want to just touch on your release on controlling the pond weeds. And if people want to read more about this, it's on ksstradio.com. You can read it at your leisure. But the thing that caught my attention, that I thought was very interesting in that, is controlling the weeds with herbivorous fish.
Sure.
Grass carp.
That is correct. It's a very common now tool to use actually animals who can actually consume those weeds and actually benefit from that. Yeah.
Where do you go to get herbivorous
There's
fish?
several places you can actually get. It's a permit that you have to do. You apply to the Texas Park and Wildlife for a particular permit, and then you can go purchase it.
That's fascinating.
Henderson County,
and then there's other means and more, but less unusual.
Tilapia is one of those, and
is it?
The carp is the other one.
Okay, great. Well, Mario, thanks for having a second.
You're welcome.
Coffee with us. Mario Villarino is the Hopkins County AgriLife agent. I'm John Mark Dempsey, and this is KSST.